Hi everyone and welcome to Module 4. In this module, we're going to be talking about getting ready for IEPs as well as evaluations, which of course is a huge portion of our job as school SLPs. First, we're going to start talking about scheduling in advance. Now, we've talked about this before, but it's so important that I'm going to bring it back up again. Remember our workbook page where we go through our scheduled and monthly to-do things? Well, we're going to take a look at those again one more time. Remember at the top of these monthly to-dos, we have our goals for the year. And these stay the same throughout the year because these are the things that you need to remember all year that you are working on. Next, you have your every month items. So what are the evergreen items that you need to accomplish every single month? Next, we have a section here for paperwork and other. Now you can set those up however you want to set those up, but the way I have been doing it is in the paperwork section I put in those IEPs that I need to finalize. So I've already done the IEP, I've already written it, we've had the meeting, but I need to go through, check for grammar, check the spelling, things like that. And then the other area is where I start to put in my scheduling. So in September, I will be scheduling my October IEPs. I try to do them about 4 weeks in advance. And here's the rationale. So first of all, we need to give families at least 2 weeks to get their schedule in order, right? It might take 2 weeks before they can get some time off of work in order to get in, or they have to rearrange some things, or they need to come up with daycare, whatever it is. So if I called a parent today, I would not expect them to be able to come in for an IEP for at least 2 weeks. Well, as you probably know, things happen, right? So even if we schedule 2 weeks in advance, if someone important cancels or if the parent doesn't show to the meeting, you've got to reschedule it. And that gives you an additional 2 weeks in which to reschedule your meeting. That's why I always try my very best to schedule out 4 weeks in advance. It also is just a courtesy to other professionals and your parents. There's nothing worse than being invited to an IEP meeting 12 hours before the meeting happens. Trust me, I know it's happened to me quite a few times. The other thing that we need to make sure to schedule way in advance are our evaluations. And here's the rationale behind that. So our evaluations need to go through the same process as the IEP in that we have to allow parents at least 2 weeks of time to get their schedule in order before they can come in, right? And then they no-show once, let's just say, or the classroom teacher can't come or something, and then we have to push it out again. So now a whole month has gone by. Now we only have 2 months to get all our testing done. So let's say that we get our testing done. It takes about a month because we're totally backlogged, right? And then we need to schedule for the results of the evaluation planning meeting. So all of that just takes a really long time, which is why I try to schedule things out at least 3 months before the due date. And then if it happens to fall early and you figure it all out before the due date, at least in my district, that's totally fine. We can have IEP meetings early. We just absolutely cannot have them late. So this protects you from doing anything at the last minute, protects you from stressing out your team members or your parents, and really gives you a lot of time to think about the IEP and make really conscious and good decisions for your goals, your accommodations, things like that. Okay, the next thing we're going to talk a little bit about is Doodle. I'm going to actually do a separate video on Doodle that you can watch later. The reason I'm going to do this is because Doodle keeps changing. So every year, Doodle looks a little different, and I don't want to create this whole video right now on what Doodle looks like and then have, a little while you go, Doodle looks nothing like that anymore. Some things that you do want to keep in mind, like we talked about in our other lesson about Doodle, is that when you get to the section that says invite participants, don't do it. The reason is that if you invite participants straight from the Doodle page, they're going to get an email from doodle.com and they're going to say, what the heck is this? And they're going to stick it in their spam folder. So instead, you're going to go through the whole process. You're going to copy the link And then you're going to email that in a personal email to the other team members. My personal email will usually say something like, hey, team members for Johnny, we need to schedule Johnny's IEP. Please click on the doodle link below and check all available times that you have for setting up this meeting. I'll let you know what our final decision is at the end. Now, sometimes I involve parents in that initial meeting and sometimes I don't. More and more so, I've been able to involve parents. Originally, years ago when I made this course, a lot of my families didn't check email. Well, a lot has changed since then, right? So a lot of my families do check email now. But let's just say that, for example, we did not invite the parent yet, that we wanted to get it all in line with the teachers and the interpreters and things like that, and just make it a little bit easier. So after I get all my input, I can look here and see, oh, my 3 participants were both, or all, sorry, available on these 2 different dates, this date and this time, and this date and this time. And that's when I can actually make the phone call or the email or the text to the parents saying, hey, we have these 2 times available when everyone can come. Do you think one of these will work for you? And then if the parent is not available, then I'm going to go back to my doodle and I'm going to add some additional times on. Again, this is why we schedule 4 weeks in advance, and resend it out and say, oh, bummer, that didn't work. Can we try a different day and time? Okay, so that is the down and dirty on Doodle. Shared calendars. Again, when I first created this course, not many people were sharing their calendars. And they were like, I like to write things down by hand. Well, a lot has changed since then, right? So I'm going to show you a few things about how I use my Google Calendar. Most districts, I would say at this point, are using some type of shared calendar, whether it be Google or something else. But I'm going to go in here and I'm going to show you what I do. So here I have my calendar. Personally, I like having the monthly view. It's helpful to me. And then I can either click on the date that I want to schedule something. Let's go in and put in actual school date, right? Okay, so I can either click right here and it will give me this view and I can put in here what the event is, Johnny's IEP. From there, I'm always going to want to include a few things. We use Google Meet in my district, so I would always click on Add Google Meet Conferencing if this was going to be a potentially virtual meeting. Like maybe everyone's going to be virtual, or some people will be virtual and some people will be in person. From there, I'm going to add my guests and I'm going to put in the email addresses of everyone that's involved in the meeting. And the reason I'm going to do it that way is because I really want them to be checking off if they're going to attend or not. It's kind of like an attendance. So then I can go back and be like, oh, well, you check that. Description or attachments. So this is where I'll actually put something like, Johnny's annual IEP meeting. We will be meeting, then I might say in person at something school in room 23. I could add an attachment like parent input. I could add parent rights, procedural safeguards. I could add anything like that. And also in here, I also want to say, please let me know if you have any questions or need to reschedule. And the reason I do this is because I don't send out a separate email. I only send out this one. I have the date. I have all my guests in here. John at john.com. I don't know who John at john.com is, but he's in there now, right? I don't use this create meeting notes, but you could, right? Add attachment. Sometimes if the family is not actually familiar with the school, because maybe they're a new family to the district, I'll actually put the location in there so that they can find it on Google Maps. And then I'll hit save. I'm going to get rid of John at john.com because I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm going to hit save. And then it's going to show up in my calendar. all those participants that we said were invited, it's going to show up there as well. And then on the day before the meeting, I'm going to go back in. Here's my calendar. I'm going to go email event things. I'm going to, all the people that are already in there will just be listed as emails or names. And I'm going to put a reminder message. Remember, we are meeting tomorrow in person to discuss Johnny's IEP. Please let me know if you have any questions. And then or I might even put something about please email me to confirm that you got this message. Because if I don't hear from the family in particular, I am more likely to send them a text reminder or phone them before the meeting, because we all know it's really tricky to try to reschedule things when a family doesn't show. So these are all kind of safeguards that I do in advance as I am using my schedule. Something else that you can do that probably already most of you know about, but just in case, this is for Google districts, this may not work with other districts, is you can actually share your calendar. So over here, I've got my calendars, and I have all sorts of calendars. I've got I link all my calendars so I can see them as I want. You can always uncheck things if you don't want to see it anymore. So I go in here, I click the three little dots, and I go to settings and sharing. And then what it allows me to do is to add people. So if I want my special ed coworker to be able to see my calendar, then I can add them into my calendar so that they can schedule their events even easier. They can see, oh, well, Cherie's not going to be able to do this time because she already has something on her calendar. So it's just a way to coordinate with other people in a easier fashion. I prefer Doodle for my scheduling, but I do know some people that only use the shared calendars when they're looking at their scheduling. Okay, right? Here's your homework. First, you're going to create a Doodle. You're going to make it something fun. The very first Doodle I ever created was with my coworker, and I doodled her for an event, and the event was Be Awesome. So then she got to say what time she and I were going to be awesome together, and then we had a little dance party. The second part of your homework is to schedule and share in a calendar if you are not familiar with doing this. If you're already a pro at this, you can skip this step. This is just for someone who's never done it before or just doesn't feel very confident in this. Then, though, you're going to send a reminder for that shared calendar event. So remember how I went in and sent a reminder saying Johnny's IEP is tomorrow. Please email me back that to confirm that you got this message. And then finally, just make it fun. I want you to tell the community what you scheduled and with whom. So it might be that you scheduled with a friend to be awesome. It might be that you scheduled with your partner to make dinner. Whatever it is, make it fun. Do the chicken dance, right? Any of those things. It would be super fun to hear from you and find out what you scheduled. Thanks.